count the bands, make the bands count. I don't count the haters, make the haters count. Came from the bottom, I appreciate.
Good morning, everybody. It's Lindsey Huddleston with SPS back in the building for another Monday Motivation Holiday Edition. Happy Labor Day to you. Guess everybody's in good spirits. They don't have to work today. At least some of you don't have to work, but it's always some work to be done. Had a great weekend. Boy, it's been a packed weekend going back as early as Thursday. Mason with the win over DeWitt in high school football, kicking high school football off for the second week, I should say. That was a great time. And then Friday, Michigan State with the win over Central Michigan, kicking off the college football season. Everyone, I'm sure, caught that TCU versus Colorado and Deion Sanders checking for receipts. That was great to watch. And I got a chance to get over to Grand Haven, Michigan yesterday. Got to meet the Golden Bear, Jack Nicklaus. We had a very special conversation. It wasn't recorded. This was after we did the interviews, and I was in the clubhouse with him for some time. It was like grandpa style chilling, and we had some great conversations, and one day I'll talk about that a little bit. But today's message, shout out to Kevin Marshall. Good morning, brother. It's been a minute. Yes, it is, brother. I'm here, though, every Monday at 8 o'clock. It's good to see you. I know you're working hard. Got my cousin David Eric Hodge in the building. Morning, brother. How you doing? I hope all is well. Another Monday Motivation. And what is today's topic? Don't count the plays, make the plays count. Don't count the plays, make the plays count. If you notice, the reel that I used to kick off Michigan State football on Friday was just that, French Montana's take. And I said, I don't count the days, I make the days count. You know, that's what you have to look at. That's what you have to think about, guys. What we're talking about here is really a continuation of last week's discussion when I talked about your gratitude impacts your altitude. So how you can be grateful for things. And the irony of that French Montana song is called Appreciate Everything. But with that, there's another piece of that when you talk about his wordplay and what's going on. There's the psychology of perspective change. It's the psychology of perspective change. Got Mo Christian in the building. What's up, Mo? How you doing? Monique Christian, that is. That's my girl right there. Good to see you. I'm glad all is going well. I'm glad you're checking in this morning. So we're talking about the psychology of perspective change. And I actually, as I did mention, my sit down off camera with Jack Nicklaus is interesting because I talked about my background in sports psychology. And you have to look at it from a time as well. He's 83, and he talked about he didn't believe in that. But he did have his dad early in his life, who was a major influence. He said he lost his dad young, and then his wife. So he did have a sounding board, someone to talk to. But this perspective change from a scholarly standpoint, when we talk about that, there was an article written called The Impact of Perspective Change as Cognitive Reappraisal Strategy on Effect, a systematic review that was by Sophie M.A. Wallace, Hadril, and Sanjeev K. Kabaj. So here's the thing. Look at the terminology. The impact of perspective change as a cognitive reappraisal strategy. Cognitive reappraisal strategy. That is saying how we have to look at things and mentally reappraise them and reassess them. And that's what French Montana is doing. As you say, don't count the plays, make the plays count. So what can happen is as we strive to achieve, as we try to do things, as we have our life going on, we can be inundated with the things that are heavy on it. No one can question that life can be challenging. But it's taking a step back and reassessing. Having this reappraisal and kind of, flipping it on his head. He says, I don't count the plays, I make the plays count. So it's not about how many times I do something. It's making sure that when I do it, I make it count. So it's about reassessing. And to be honest, that's really not the natural order of things in the society we live in. We live in a society that this device could be, won't see my baby on my device, Madeline right there. We live in this society where this device can be so distracting and can be overwhelming with social media and how it gives us a false sense of reality and what we should be trying to achieve. But also it can be the same tool that you can use to work at something, to get some information going forward. Let's look at these images. I think these images are very telling. It's all about perspective. What do you see here? See, I think that's a huge question. It's a rhetorical question. What do you see? Do you see a smile or do you see a frown? And if you see one, what does it take for you to see the other? If you change your view, it will change your life. You decide. I think we all have to realize that. Thank goodness with Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network, that's a great sponsor, SPS, that provides these kind of resources. And if you need to check some more resources, you can go to social media to look at these resources that they have. You can put the app, your phone up to the screen and download the app, or you can pull that information to get those resources. They've been a great partner and look to continue to be a great partner But we have a lot of control over this ourselves. We have a control over that with the people who are in our circle, who are our immediate, people that we can talk to. Again, Jack Nicholas the Bear talked about how his dad was that. Then he mentioned his wife. He didn't say anything about his friends, his homeboys. I'm not taking anything away because I got some great solid dudes in my life that I can call to talk through things. And that's a great thing. I mean, as a matter of fact, my immediate five, all my partners, I can hit at any time, and I'm going to get some really good feedback and be a good sounding board. But it's also about the ability to have perspective change, Also, too, how changing your perspective transforms your life. I remember many times that opportunities that I allowed myself to get down about, but when I decided to change my perspective just in that moment, just to rethink things, and that turned into a phone call that led to a conversation that led to an opportunity and so on. Or right here, I give you the whole director's hand. Look at it like this. This is where you can look at life. How do you narrow what you're looking at and not look at the things around you and be distracted, or focusing in on something? We can have all the clouds and the mist around you, but you can lock in on something that we all have the ability to do. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. And I'm not saying it's something that we're naturally conditioned to do. It's something that you have to work on. You have to be able to get perspective, but also in many cases, you have to be able to pull yourself away from all those other distractions that are bothering you as it goes into it. Again, as we said, changing our perspective can change the outcomes. That's a huge thing. Such perspective shifting may be conducive to change and meaning by enabling the individual to disengage from a self-immersed vantage point and see the big picture. I'm going to read this again, then I'm going to get down on this one. Such perspective shifting might be conducive to changes in meaning by enabling the individual to disengage from self-immersed vantage point and see the bigger picture. Self-immersed vantage point. You caught up in yourself and you caught up in your feelings. I know that's a term that's used a lot in pop culture, but you got this self-immersed vantage point. You're only seeing it from your perspective. Sometimes you may have an experience with somebody and say, man, why they do that? Why they do that to me? And then it becomes me, 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 me. And you look at that. But if you take a step back, you may say, wait a minute. This person has a job that includes all these things. It wasn't necessarily me. It wasn't personal. So when you take a step away from that self-immersed vantage point, that can help you see the big picture. But that's the key. We get so self-immersed. I'm not mad at that. It's just a natural thing. We love ourselves and we think through that, but that's something you have to work through. Also, too, when we change our thinking, we can change the results. That's a powerful thing. Nothing has changed in the scenario, but you just changed the way you looked at it. You don't count the plays, you make the plays count. That's something to keep in mind. And also, you want to be careful not to get mentally fatigued. Sometimes you have to disengage. You got to back away. Maybe this day off for some of you will be a great time to do something different. You're not caught up in the normal rigmarole. Now, let me caution you guys of something. You got to be careful this week. Because I have found, and I've talked about this, that when you have that Monday off, it throws us off a little bit. It throws off our normal circadian rhythm because you probably hung out last night or did something to, beyond what you would normally do on a Sunday. Then you have this day, then Tuesday, the week hits you. So I just want you to be conscious, just as we talk about perspective change, but also be conscious about your scenario changing. You may say, Lindsay, what you talking about? I've had days off on Mondays a lot of times. Yeah, I know. And some of you had an even longer weekend because you probably took time off Friday. So when Tuesday hit tomorrow, when that work day hit, pow, or when everything hit, you guys just be conscious of that. So with that being said, guys, I don't want to keep you too much on this Labor Day. I want you to get out there. My boy Reggie White is in the building. Good point. Neighbor growing up. Reggie was on Vaughn. I was on Fielding. Really close. And he shared time in Hartford. His brother's doing his thing in the ministerial world. Reggie down in New Orleans right now, eating all that Creole gumbo. Having a good time, but I appreciate you, brother, on this day as well, and all that you do to lift up spirits. So with that said, guys, I won't keep you too much once you get out there, but hey, don't count the plays, make the plays count, meaning that we have everything we need. I know so many times we have this expectation that somebody else or some other entity is going to help us get to the next point, but in most cases, we got all we need. We got everything we need, and it's all up to us to manage that and manipulate that situation to get the best. And a lot of times it has to do with reassessing your thinking. That's something we got to keep in mind. I appreciate that. Chad in the building said, happy holidays, SPS family. He's giving love to everybody right there. See, that's a great example. Your timing is impeccable, Chad, because just to say, for example, let's say Chad was going through something, but Chad just came on here and put love out to everybody else, not being self-absorbed, not going through things and just making it all about him. He said, enjoy your day, my brother. I'll be reaching out to you soon. Okay, brother, you know how to hit me. You know how we do. Definitely. Kevin Marshall in the building representing. So with that, guys, we hit the 10-minute mark, but doesn't mean that we can't continue to go on and do great things. I'm so happy for everyone. So proud of everybody. If you got something going on, keep that in mind. You know, hey, Chad, Kevin Marshall shouted you right back. He said, happy holidays to you, Chad. See, it's nothing but love. See, when we take the emphasis off ourselves and try to place it on others, we can maximize the impact. Just right there, this energy that's going on with everybody showing love can pull me out, can pull you out of that. And it's something to keep in mind. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's just natural. That's something you have to work to curate those mental neurological pathways to do it over time. But you want to get in the habit of being able to do that. And you want to be able to make that either your spouse, your mate, your partner, or someone who can respond to that, because that's going to be the person you're going to be texting. That's the person you're going to be reaching out to. And that's the person you need to be able to say, hey, why don't you take a step back and look at it? You don't need somebody who's going to have this blind loyalty and just double down and triple down and help create that bad cycle. Sometimes we love the loyalty, but the loyalty could be somebody being loyal to you for the wrong reasons as it relates to what they're leading you to. You don't want nobody to be loyal to you making bad decisions. You don't want a loyalty to you having somebody who's not going to be helping you move forward. And as we get older, we got to better have that perspective change. So with that being said, I'm going to get out here. We'll jump on my bicycle, ride to the gym, get in a little bit. Got a press conference today with Michigan State, so you'll be hearing some words from Coach Mel Tucker talking about going into week 2 of Michigan State football playing Richmond. I won't be in the building. Be with my daughter. Family is important, but I'll still be keeping you guys updated on what's going on. And with that being said, this is Lindsey Hustle, SPS. Don't count the plays. Make the plays count. Have a great Labor Day. Have a great week. Have a great month. Have a great year. Have a great life. Talk to you guys soon.